I was an alpha pregnant for a delicate omega. Episode 5, the finale. I did not sleep that night. Not because I was upset. Not because I was confused. Not even because my body had decided that comfortable sleep was no longer something I deserved. I did not sleep because I was thinking. Really thinking. The kind of thinking that strips everything back. No corporate strategy. No controlled conclusions. No logical framework built to keep feelings at a safe professional distance. Just me, alone in my bedroom at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, thinking about a boy who had watched me walk past for 3 years and said nothing, who had waited 12 years, who had walked into my building with a soft face and a plan and somewhere along the way had left a door slightly open and said the one thing that undid everything. When I'm sure he won't run. I thought about that for a long time. Then I got up, made tea, sat at my kitchen table, and made a decision. I came into the office early, earlier than Juno, which took effort because Juno arrived before everyone. I was at my desk by 6:30, jacket on, composed, ready. He walked in at 6:52. He stopped when he saw my office light on. Through the glass wall our eyes met. He knew. I could see it immediately, that flicker. The one that was faster than everything else. The one that meant something real was moving underneath. He came to my door, knocked once. "Sir, you're early." "Close the door," I said. He came in, closed the door, stood across the desk. Patient as always. That face, those eyes. But this morning, just slightly. His hands were not relaxed at his sides. His fingers were very still in the deliberate way of someone making them be still. I looked at him for a moment. Then I opened my desk drawer, took out the ginger tea he had restocked, set it on the desk between us. He looked at it, then at me. "Sit down, Juno," I said. He sat. I looked at him. "I'm not going to run," I said. The room went completely still. Something crossed his face that I had never seen before. Not the soft performance. Not the flicker. Something underneath all of it. Raw and unguarded and young. The way he had looked in that kitchen when he thought no one was watching. He didn't speak. "I heard you," I said. "Yesterday. In the meeting room." He closed his eyes briefly. "How much?" he said quietly. "Enough." He opened his eyes, looked at me, and for the first time since he had walked into my building, he didn't arrange his expression. He just looked at me, tired and real and entirely himself. "Jihan," he started, then stopped. "Sir." Jihan is fine," I said. Another flicker, bigger this time. "Jihan," he said again, softer, like he was trying the weight of it. "Tell me," I said. "From the beginning. Tell me." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked down at his hands. And he told me, not everything at once. Not smoothly. Not with the careful precision he used for everything else. He told me the way someone tells a truth they have been holding for a very long time. Slowly, with pauses, with the occasional stop to look at me and check that I was still there. He told me about the hallway. About being 17 and watching me walk past and feeling something he didn't have a word for yet. About being 14 when he first understood what he was. About the fear that came with it, the designation that no one believed existed, that made people look at you like a myth, that meant spending your entire life performing something you weren't. He told me about choosing the same university, sitting 3 rows behind me in a lecture hall for 2 years, never once speaking to me directly. He told me about watching me graduate, about watching me build something real, about deciding, with the particular certainty of someone who has nothing left to lose by deciding, that he was going to stop watching from a distance. He told me about the plan, about the years of preparation, about getting qualified, building a career, engineering his way into my building through completely legitimate means that were also, he admitted with something that was almost a smile, very specifically designed to put him in my orbit. He told me about the dinner, about bringing me home, about the morning after when I woke up remembering nothing and he had sat outside in the car for 20 minutes before coming up to place water and medication on my nightstand. He told me about realizing what had happened, about the fear that came with that too, a different kind. And then he stopped. Looked at me. "The baby," I said. He nodded. Very slightly. "It's mine," I said. Not a question. "Yes," he said. I sat with that for a moment. "Are you?" I looked at him. "Are you all right? Physically? Are you?" Something moved across his face. Surprise. Genuine and unguarded. "I'm fine," he said. Yes, I'm fine." "You should be seeing a doctor," I said. "Regularly. Someone who understands your designation. I'll have Dr. Yoon recommend." "Jihan." I stopped. He was looking at me with an expression I had never seen on him before. Not soft. Not careful. Not the 1,000 arranged versions of Park Juno I had watched across weeks of careful observation. Just open. "You're not angry," he said, like he was confirming something he hadn't let himself believe. "I didn't say that," I said. "But you're asking about my health. You're carrying my child Juno. Of course I'm asking about your health." He looked at me for a long moment. Then he looked down at his hands again. "I manipulated the situation," he said quietly. "I planned all of it. The company, the dinner, all of it. You deserve to be angry." "I know," I said. "I didn't give you a choice." "I know that too." He looked up. "Then why?" "Because," I said. And then I stopped. Because the next part was harder. The next part was the thing I had been sitting with since 2 in the morning at my kitchen table. I looked at him. At 12 years of patience sitting across my desk in the early morning light. At someone who had been so careful to plan everything and had forgotten to plan for the possibility that it might actually work. "Because I heard a man say he was scared I would run," I said. "And I realized I had been running. Not from you. From this. From whatever this is. Since the elevator on the first day." He was very still. "I don't do this," I said. "I don't feel things I can't explain. I don't look away first. I don't make tea for people in empty kitchens. I don't." I stopped. "I don't know what I'm doing. I want to be honest about that." "Neither do I," he said, very quietly. "Not anymore." I looked at him. "The plan ran out," he said, almost to himself. "I planned everything up to here. And then you made me tea and I didn't know what to do with that." I almost laughed. I didn't, but almost. "So," I said, "we're both figuring it out." He looked at me. "I lied to you," he said, "for months." "Yes. I engineered this entire situation." "Yes. You should be." "Juno." I leaned forward slightly. I said I'm not running. I didn't say everything is resolved. I didn't say we don't have things to work through. We have a significant amount of things to work through. He nodded. "But I'm not running," I said again. "That's what I came in early to tell you." He looked at me for a long time. Those eyes, dark and wide and for once not performing anything. Not glossy with careful emotion. Just real. Just his. "Okay," he said. Quietly. "Okay," I said. We sat in my office as Sol woke up outside the window. Not talking for a while. Just existing in the same space without the performance between us. It was strange. And uncomfortable. And also, the most honest I had felt in months. "The others are going to arrive soon," Juno said eventually. "Yes," I said. "Should I stay?" I said. "For now." He stayed. Miho arrived at 8:30. He walked past my office. Glanced in. Saw Juno sitting across from me. Stopped. Looked at me. Looked at Juno. Looked back at me. I looked back at him with the expression that meant not now. He pointed at me, then at Juno, then made a face that contained approximately 14 different questions. I shook my head slightly. He pressed his lips together, nodded very slowly, pointed at me again in a way that clearly meant later. I nodded once. He walked away, came back 3 seconds later, gave a very small thumbs up through the glass, walked away again. I looked at the ceiling. Juno, who had watched all of this, said nothing. But the corner of his mouth moved. The first real smile I had ever seen on him. Not the office smile. Not the soft performance smile. A real one. Small. Barely there. It was something. General POV. Daeyeon arrived at 8:45. She walked to her desk, set down her bag, looked up, saw the light in Jihan's office, saw Juno sitting across from him, saw the 2 cups on the desk, 1 ginger tea, 1 black coffee. She stood very still, looked at Juno's face through the glass. That smile. Small. Real. The one she had never seen before. Looked at Jihan's face. Something open there too. Something that hadn't been there before. She sat down slowly. Her colleague Soyeon appeared beside her. Followed her gaze. Is that? Soyeon started. Yes, Daeyeon said. Are they? I think so. A pause. Didn't you used to? We don't talk about that, Daeyeon said. Right? The cracker incident. We really don't talk about that. Soyeon nodded. They both looked at the office one more time. He looks happy, Soyeon said, meaning Juno. Daeyeon looked at that real smile through the glass. Yeah, she said quietly. He does. She turned back to her computer, started her morning, and decided, with the particular grace of someone who had received a cracker when they expected a confession, to let it go. Back to Jihan. Later that day I called Dr. Yoon. Told him I had more information about my situation. He asked if I was all right. I thought about it honestly for the first time. Yes, I said. I think I am. He recommended a specialist. Someone who had actual experience with rare designations. Someone who could monitor both of us properly. I wrote the name down. Hung up. Looked across the office floor to where Juno was working at his desk. He glanced up. Caught me looking. Didn't look away first this time. Neither did I. We looked at each other across the office floor for exactly 1 second longer than was professionally appropriate. Then we both looked back at our work. That evening I stayed late again. The floor emptied out. The city lights came on. The building settled into its nighttime quiet. I was at my desk when I heard his footsteps. He stopped in my doorway. Jacket still on. Bag over his shoulder. Ready to leave. Good night, he said. Good night, I said. He didn't move immediately. Jihan. I looked up. He was standing in the doorway looking at me with that real face. The one I had only seen a handful of times. The one that was just him, no arrangement, no performance, no 12 years of careful patience. I'm sorry, he said, for the parts that weren't fair. I looked at him. I know, I said. He stopped. Started again. I needed you to know that I know. That I'm not, I see it clearly. What I did. I nodded slowly. We have a lot to figure out, I said. Yes. Starting with the fact that you are my employee. A flicker of something. Almost amusement. Yes. Which is going to require some restructuring. I imagine so. And the other situation. Also yes. I looked at him. Are you scared? I said. He considered that seriously. Yes, he said. So am I said. He looked at me like that was the last thing he had expected me to say. Good, he said quietly. That's good, I think. Terrifying, I said. But good. The corner of his mouth moved again. That real smile. Good night, Jihan, he said. Good night, Juno, I said. He left. I listened to his footsteps fade down the hallway. The elevator opening. Closing. Silence. I sat in my office alone. Outside Seoul glittered and hummed. I looked at my desk. At the ginger tea. The crackers. The empty space where a second cup had been this morning. I thought about a school hallway. A boy against a wall. 12 years. A plan that ran out exactly when it was supposed to. I thought about what came next. I didn't have a plan. I had never been the one with the plan in this story. But I had said I wasn't running. And I meant it. Final scene, General POV. Park Juno walked out of the CO Corporation building into the cold Seoul night. Stood on the pavement for a moment. Looked up at the 32nd floor. The light was still on. He stood there for a while. 12 years ago he had stood outside a different building. Younger. Certain in the way that only someone who has never been truly tested can be certain. He had looked up at a window then too, made himself a promise. He had kept it, all of it, and it had cost him things he hadn't expected to pay. Pieces of himself he hadn't budgeted for. The exhaustion of performing, the weight of planning, the particular loneliness of wanting something so completely while being the only one who knew you wanted it. But tonight Seo Jihan had come in early to tell him he wasn't running. Tonight Seo Jihan had asked if he was all right. Tonight they had sat in an office as Seoul woke up and existed in the same space without a performance between them, and it had been real. Juno pressed one hand lightly to his own stomach, felt the quiet fact of everything that was happening, everything that was coming, the conversations ahead, the things to work through, the completely unprecedented territory of two people who had arrived at this moment from very different directions trying to figure out what came next. He thought about the draft message on his phone. I never forgot you. Not once. Not for a single day. He took his phone out, opened it, looked at it. Then he deleted it. He didn't need it anymore. He put his phone in his pocket, looked up at the 32nd floor one more time. The light was still on. Okay, Jihan, he said quietly, to the building, to the light, to the man sitting alone in an office who had said I'm scared too like it was the most natural thing in the world. Let's figure it out. He turned and walked into the city. The end. But is it really the end? Two people. One impossible situation. A city full of things they haven't said yet. Seo Jihan, who stopped running. Park Juno, who ran out of plan. And somewhere between a school hallway and a 32nd floor office and a cup of ginger tea. Something real. The rest of the story? That's just beginning. Scent of something rare. Don't forget to like, share, and send this to your friends. Oh wait. Sorry. Your family doesn't know you're into boys' love yet, do they? Subscribe if you are unable to send this story to your family.